Good evening. I would like to call to order the August 15, 2023 Little Rock City Board of Directors meeting. We would like to welcome those that are in attendance as well as those watching at home or streaming online. Madam Clerk, if you would, please call the roll.
Director Miller.
I'm here.
Director Richardson.
Here.
Director Peck.
Here.
Director Hines.
Present.
Director Lewis.
Here.
Director Wyrick.
Present.
Director Campuris. Director Phillips.
Present.
Director Adcock. Vice Mayor Webb. Mayor Scott.
Present. Let me now recognize City Director Virgil Miller, who will give our invocation.
Thank you, Mayor. Please join me in a moment of silence as we prepare our hearts and minds for tonight's invocation. Thank you. This evening, we start by praying for the family, friends, students, administrative staff, and all those who knew and loved Pulaski County Special School District Security Guard Victor Montgomery. Mr. Montgomery was fatally hit yesterday while directing traffic on Highway 10. He was doing his job, assisting Joe T. Robinson elementary, middle, and high school students on the very first day of this new school year get to their classes safely. Our hearts are heavy this evening, full of sadness and grief of this fatality. We extend this prayer for the protection of all students, teachers, administrators, and staff returning to school. We pray that those who travel in school zones, that they slow down and focus their attention towards protecting students and protecting those who are in charge of providing security and safe passage for them. Our prayer tonight is also for our city's police, fire, first security, code officers, and all those who serve and protect the citizens of our city. It is a dangerous job that they have, and we dare not take for granted what they do for us each and every day. Finally, we're thankful for this day we've been given, for its blessings, its opportunities, and its challenges. May we learn to appreciate each day we have on this earth. Let us continue to strive to make our city, state, nation, and world a better place. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Will y'all please stand for Pledge of Allegiance?
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for
all. Members of the City Board, I'm going to approach the podium to declare a special day here today. Members of the City Board, alongside me, Vice Mayor Kathy Webb. Today we are proclaiming a special day for tomorrow. But before we get started, I think we all have come to know Daryl D. Macon Jr. From a number of different avenues. And so we're very grateful to have him here. As we know, he's been able to travel the globe. And I ask that City Manager Bruce Moore join us as well. Mr. Macon, if you'll please stand. Whereas Daryl D. Macon Jr., AKA D-Mac, was born November 29th, 1995 in Little Rock, Arkansas, where he graduated from the Parkview Arts and Science Magnet High School in 2014. And whereas Daryl played college basketball at Holmes Community College and at the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville. Whereas D-Mac was selected by the Dallas Mavericks as a free agent after graduating from the University of Arkansas Fayetteville. And whereas Daryl also played for the Miami Heat, and after 2 seasons in the NBA, has gone on to play internationally. Daryl's first employment was through the City of Little Rock Work Program for Youth. And whereas D-Mac played in the Little Rock Parks and Recreation League beginning at the age of 5, where he led numerous teams to several championships over many years. And whereas D-Mac is the only professional basketball player from Little Rock to grow up in numerous City of Little Rock Parks and Recreation programs, including the summer playground program and after-school programs at Ottenheimer Community Center and Dunbar Community Center exclusively, never playing in any other club, leagues, or programs. Whereas recently, Daryl D. Macon Jr. signed a contract to play basketball for China for the 2023-2024 season. And whereas the City of Little Rock recognizes and appreciates the work of Daryl D. Macon Jr. and his efforts to promote and enrich the lives of all people. Now I, Frank Scott Jr., Mayor of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, do hereby proclaim August 16, 2023 as Daryl D. Macon Jr. Day. Got you.
What you want me to face? This way?
No, right there. They got you.
Oh, they got me right here. Okay. Man, I'm kind of lost for words right now. To my family and friends, I just want to say thank you for all the support that you guys have given me over the years. To the City of Little Rock, I just want to thank you also for the support. Growing up in Park and Recreations and coming up in Dunbar Community Center has really evolved me to the man I am today with my career and throughout my life. Yeah, that's kind of all I got to say. I'm still excited right now. So again, I just want to thank everybody. Thank you.
I think we also want to acknowledge to the members of the City Board, here is truly a product of our programming. And so we're very grateful that he hasn't forgot his beloved city. But we also know he rolls pretty deep. And so can all the family members and friends please stand so we can give you all a round of applause?
Mayor,
Sure.
I think his agent flew in today to surprise him, so I don't know if you want to recognize him, Daryl.
Awesome, awesome. Again, Daryl, we're very grateful to your family. Thank you so much. It means the world when someone of your stature comes back home. And remains home, but also is a true ambassador of the city and the state across the globe. So thank you. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the consent agenda.
A resolution to authorize the city manager to rename the neighborhood park located at West 4th Street and South Schiller Street to Rose Creek Park and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Musco Sports Lighting in an amount not to exceed $875,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for the new facility sport lights for 6 baseball and softball fields at the Junior Deputy Baseball Park and for other purposes. Funding from the American Rescue Plan Act. A resolution to authorize the city manager to award professional engineering services contracts for design and survey services for the 2023-2025 capital improvement projects funded from the proceeds of the 2022 capital improvement bonds for street and drainage and for other purposes, funding from the limited tax general obligation capital improvement bonds, a resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Arkansas Public Safety Solutions / Motorola Avigilon in an amount not to exceed $142,414 plus applicable taxes and fees for the purchase of a video security system for the Arkansas State Fairgrounds Complex and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the mayor and city manager to execute the Little Rock Police Department Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant application and the memorandum of understanding with Pulaski County and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with WD&D Architects in an amount not to exceed $350,000 to provide architectural and engineering design services for the Little Rock Zoo bond project and for other purposes, funding from the limited tax general obligation capital improvement bonds. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Nirvana Construction LLC in an amount not to exceed $228,475 for the raising and removal of the former Little Rock Police Department building and annex located at 700 West Markham Street and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to purchase the annual renewal of subscriptions for licensed Adobe project for a total amount of $66,468.34 to support the city of Little Rock business processes and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a maintenance renewal contract with Optiv Security, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $239,085.89 plus applicable taxes and fees to provide services and upgrades to the city's existing checkpoint firewall and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Presidio Network Solutions in an amount not to exceed $203,376 plus applicable taxes and fees to provide managed detection and response monitoring service for the Information Technology Department and for other purposes. A resolution to amend Little Rock, Arkansas Resolution Number 16,058, July 18th, 2023, to amend the existing contract with the Little Rock Regional Chamber of Commerce in an amount not to exceed $500,000 to provide economic development consulting service and to make other necessary amendments and for other purposes. A resolution to appoint a successor commissioner to fill a vacancy on the Board of Commissioners of the Riverdale Harbor Municipal Property Owners Improvement District Number 1 of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. That concludes the consent agenda.
Move for the adoption of the consent agenda.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the grouped items for the first time.
An ordinance to accept the Blue Stem annexation to add certain lands to the city of Little Rock, Arkansas to zone said land to I-3 Heavy Industrial District and for other purposes. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and to establish a revised planned industrial development titled 4200 Horner LLC PID located at 42 Horner Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas and for other purposes. An ordinance to approve a planned and zoning development to establish a revised planned commercial development titled Dynamic Mixed Use PCD located at 6024 Stagecoach Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas and for other purposes. An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas and for other purposes. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development to establish a revised planned development industrial titled Williams PDI located at 4700 Mapleville Pike, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a sole source contract with Faro Technologies, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $81,883.17 plus applicable taxes and fees for the purchase purchase of a Faro system for the Little Rock Police Department, Major Crimes Division, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to authorize the city manager to enter into a sole source contract with iCore Technology in an amount not to exceed $177,659.56 plus applicable taxes and fees for the purchase of 2 iCore mini tracked robots for the Little Rock Police Department SWAT team and the Little Rock Fire Department bomb squad, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to authorize the city manager to enter into a sole source contract with Motorola Solutions, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $1,462,556 plus applicable taxes and fees for a 5-year term for cloud hosting services and workflow management of Premier One CSR Solution, Premier One Citizen Mobile Application, and the Premier One CSR Mobile Applications, also known as the 311 system, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. First reading.
To suspend the rules and place on second reading.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to accept the Blue Stem annexation to add certain lands to the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, to zone said land to I-3 Heavy Industrial District. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and to establish a revised planned industrial development titled 4200 Horner LLC, PID, located at 4200 Horner Road. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development to establish a revised planned commercial development titled Dunick Mixed Use PCD, located at 6024 Stagecoach Road. An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and to establish a revised planned development industrial titled Williams PDI, located at 4700 Mapleville Pike. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to authorize the city manager to enter into a sole source contract with Faro Technologies, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $81,883.17 plus applicable taxes and fees for the purchase of the Faro system for the Little Rock Police Department Major Crimes Division, to declare an emergency. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to authorize the city manager to enter into a sole source contract with iCore Technology in an amount not to exceed $177,659.56 plus applicable taxes and fees for the purchase of 2 iCore mini tracked robots for the Little Rock Police Department SWAT team and the Little Rock Fire Department bomb squad, to declare an emergency. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to authorize the city manager to enter into a sole source contract with Motorola Solutions, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $1,462,556 plus applicable taxes and fees for their 5-year term for cloud hosting services and workflow management of Premier One CSR Solution, Premier One Citizen Mobile Application, and the Premier One CSR Mobile Applications, also known as the 311 system, to declare an emergency. Second reading.
To suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
There's a motion. Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Third reading.
An ordinance to accept the Blue Stem annexation to add certain lands in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, to zone said land to I-3 Heavy Industrial District. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and to establish a revised planned industrial development titled 4200 Horner LLC, PID, located at 4200 Horner Road. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and to establish a revised planned commercial development titled Dunick Mixed Use PCD, located at 6024 Stagecoach Road. An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and to establish a revised planned development industrial titled Williams PDI, located at 4700 Mapleville Pike. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to authorize the city manager to enter into a sole source contract with Faro Technologies in an amount not to exceed $81,883.17 plus applicable applicable taxes and fees for the purchase of a Faro system for the Little Rock Police Department Major Crimes Division to declare an emergency. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a sole source contract with iCore Technology in an amount not to exceed $177,659.56 plus applicable taxes and fees for the purchase of 2 iCore mini tracked robots for the Little Rock Police Department SWAT team and the Little Rock Fire Department bomb squad to declare an emergency. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a sole source contract with Motorola Solutions, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $1,462,556 plus applicable taxes and fees for a 5-year term for cloud hosting services and workflow management of Premier One CSR Solution, Premier One Citizen Mobile Application, and the Premier One CSR Mobile Applications, also known as the 311 system, to declare an emergency, third and final reading.
Members of the board, we've had 3 readings. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I have my hand up.
Sorry, Director Miller.
That's fine. I was probably late with the hand.
I didn't hear the aye, so we haven't taken a vote.
Okay, thank you. Just on ordinance number 20, which is a 311 system, I'd like just a little explanation more about this. It's a big ticket item, and I get a lot of phone calls from people who say, we've used the 311 system. No one's gotten back with me. I've called it 2 or 3 times. What does the system do? Does it give us a tickler when if an item has been reported that's over a certain period of time, it alerts us that it's been done? Give us a little bit, or give me a little bit more explanation about this. And is this going to solve the issues that people are having with calling 311, or is that just the issue with us not responding to the 311 system?
We have been working on this. Now, this will definitely enhance our ability from a technology standpoint. But what was happening, and Assistant City Manager Cox has been working with 311, Public Works, Housing. The biggest issue is someone would call in an item 311, whether they call in or they put it in the app, and then we realize, well, it's not a bulky item pickup, it's something else, and we close that item and create a new item. So when they call or go online to see if this has been addressed, and it'll show closed. And so they're saying, well, I still see the stuff out here on the street. And so, like I said, Emily's been working very closely with Public Works, mainly, and Housing to get that addressed. But from a technology standpoint, our contract with Motorola was up, and they are our provider. And I believe if we can get that situation figured out, which I said we're going to get this situation figured out, this will help tremendously. And the other thing is that, again, from a code enforcement standpoint, you put something in, and it's an item that we then go give a notice, and then we go give a citation. And so, again, it takes, we tried a pilot program, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago, where we would just pick up everything and not do notices and citations. And I've really had some thought about going back to that. I mean, we're not in the business of trying to make money, so to speak. So even though we do budget fines and things like that, but that's another one of our biggest challenges as far as notices and citations. And again, we tried for a year a system where we just picked everything up and didn't do any notices, didn't do any citations. Well, when you do that, that means you can't take them to court. You can't collect anything because they're going to say, the judge is going to say, well, it's already been picked up, you know. So, but this will enhance our ability from a 311 system. And I think the area that I talked about where we were closing items because they weren't the right item, we're not going to do that anymore. So I think that will help also.
Okay, all right, thank you. Once again, that's the 311 calls. That's what I get. People who've said they've called numerous times and the items just hadn't been addressed or the issue hadn't been addressed, but you're saying it's not a problem of technology, it's just training on our part to put in the right code, and that's being addressed? So it won't show the item, it won't show the ticket is closed?
Correct. But I'll give you an example. If you call in right now for a drainage ditch, you can call 311 and say this drainage ditch needs to be cut. I mean, we're talking 3 months probably. That's how many, obviously the Public Works team was focused on tornado cleanup and everything, but so some of it really depends on the item and the issue. Someone mentioned to me the other day, I guess it was yesterday, about potholes. I think it came up at the Ward 4 meeting. And now that's something that you call in a pothole, we're going to address usually within 72 hours. And then we do a good job in that area, but drainage ditch cleaning and right-of-way mowing, I know you all get a lot of calls about that, and we get those into the system, but it does take a while to get those addressed.
So let me ask you, can we institute some type of callback to our residents that call and the item is going to take 1, 2, 3 months so that they'll know, or how we just?
Yeah, we give a time frame depending on how the call comes in, if it's on the app or if they call. The three, and that's why probably the biggest mistake that we've made or I've made is that I put 311 and 911 together at the beginning. And they're totally separate. I mean, they're totally different type of individuals that you hire. And so the 311 operators are on the phone a lot longer with the individuals, and they'll plug in the request, and it'll show, all right, this is the time frame that this should be addressed.
Okay. I appreciate that. I didn't know it showed the time frame, so that's helpful. Thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Director Wyatt.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Moore, I don't know if you've encountered this or not, but if you have like bulky items to be picked up, and you get a number of phone calls or a number of requests to pick that up, they'll close a lot of those because they have one outstanding. So I've got one at Capitol Lakes in Lansing, I believe, is the location that's been reported for a couple of months now. And the individual reported it, and nothing happened. He went out and looked in 311 and it had been closed. And so that's when he called me. And I investigated and found out we still have an outstanding ticket there. We just closed his because that was multiple tickets. So if you're looking to try to improve information back to the people that are reporting and you want to increase the confidence in the 311 system, you need to figure out a way to handle those multiple tickets. And maybe you encountered that and you know what the answer is. But this is a fairly recent story that has happened at that one location. And still, it's not picked up as of this week. So did you all discuss how to handle multiple tickets at the same place?
We did, and as I said, I believe we're getting that addressed so that, at this point, you call in a bulky item pickup, they should give you a date, and they should tell you when to put it out. Now, some people will just put it out and wait for us to come get it.
Probably should have said illegal dumping is probably what I should have said. But
And
it's,
that's exactly the example that I was talking with Director Miller. So they put it in as bulky item, but it's illegal dumping. And so that's why they were closing them out. And so we're addressing that to where they won't close them out. They'll keep it there until it's addressed,
so you'll have multiple tickets at the same location.
potentially.
Yeah, because we're trying to encourage people to use 311, and if their ticket's closed out and the stuff is still there, then they'll be concerned about it. So
And what was that address?
Capitol Lake Estates and Lansing Boulevard, I believe. And I've reported it and followed up on it a couple of times, and a couple of the neighbors have done it as well. But it's still there as of this week.
But it's illegal dumping, it's not bulky
Yeah,
item.
well, it's not at a house. It's like on the side of the street or in a cul-de-sac, is what I understand.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I just thought I'd bring that up in case you hadn't ran into that yet.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. We have emergency clauses for 18, 19, and 20. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item number 21.
An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas Rev Code, Chapter 36, Section 36-256, 1988, providing for the modification of various procedures and land use regulations related to the R4 two-family district zoning classification and for other purposes. First reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on second reading.
Second.
Those are motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas Rev Code, Chapter 36, Section 36-256, 1988, providing for the modification of various procedures and land use regulations related to the R4 two-family district zoning classification. Second reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on third and final.
Second.
There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Third reading.
An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas Rev Code, Chapter 36, Section 36-256, 1988, providing for the modification of various procedures and land use regulations related to the R4 two-family district zoning classification. Third and final reading.
Thank you. Members of the board, we have one card for this item. It's for, there's no against. Director Webb.
Thank you, Mr.
Vice Mayor Webb, my apologies.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to ask Mr. Collins some questions about this. It came up at one of my neighborhood association meetings, and they had actually quite a few questions. I know that, or I believe from looking at the map that you sent today, that while there are more R4 zone properties in Ward 1 than any other one, there are also a significant number in Ward 3. And in one of the neighborhoods, they sent several questions that they would like for me to bring up before we vote. One being, did we look at the impact? I mean, I understand that a lot of the properties in Ward 1 are where there are empty lots. And I think a lot of the properties in Ward 3, they are not empty lots, and they would probably be very attractive tear downs and could really change the way the neighborhood looks, and they're concerned about this. They wondered if we considered anything that would allow this to happen in certain parts of the city, but not all the city. They wondered if you analyzed the impact it would have in other wards, and they want to know what the ramifications would be where there is a DOD and how strongly that would supersede this ordinance. That was kind of a whole bunch at once.
Okay. Vice Mayor, see if I'll answer them off hopefully in the sequence. Did we consider treating different areas in the city as far as R4 zoning? And for this amendment, we did not. Initially, when we had started discussion with the developers, one of the options that I talked about was possibly creating a new zoning designation for what they're looking at. But essentially, that would be, then there would be no properties available to do that. Everybody would have to rezone the properties to that new designation. So that come off the table early on in discussions. And we did not look at other areas, impact them separately. It's just R4 zoning for the entire city of Little Rock and how that would affect. Now, as far as a DOD, the Design Overlay District is inherently, as it is described, it overlays on the zoning. So when we look at a property that's coming in and wanting to change the use or they build, the Design Overlay District is what we look at first. It overrides what the underlying zoning is. And then if there's nothing in the DOD that we see, then we would default back to the underlying zoning. And we do have some of those DODs like that, like the Hillcrest DOD is just landscaping. So we don't look at anything for that one but landscaping. So if it's not inherently in the DOD, then we would default to the underlying zoning. If somebody wanted to do something different than the DOD, and in your ward, that'd be the Hillcrest Design Overlay District. If it is in conflict with that, they would have to seek a planned development. They would have to rezone that property if it was against that DOD.
And one of the questions that you just referred to that I forgot to ask you was about another category of zoning. And why I think you said that we would then be starting from scratch with no properties. Would that not be better in some cases than doing this wholesale change?
Well, in some aspects, I could see that that would be something new to the city, but then that would be something we'd have to look for and see if we would designate properties or what could potentially be zoned for that. We would have to also make a new land use category, so we'd kind of know where some of that would be, because I don't think it necessarily fall underneath what we would call single family residential as far as what we're looking for, because we're looking for a little bit more dense use on a lot. We're looking for a 2-family on there. So I think it'd go hand in hand that we would want to look for properties that we'd still want people to rezone to that new code, because they typically go hand in hand. Where would we put that in? Would we put that in residential low density, residential medium density, residential definitely probably not residential high density, or would we make a new land use designation also at that time? So we did look at that, but then we also looked at some of the zoning that's out there. And for this proposal, as y'all seen, I've sent out the map to everybody. There were blocks and blocks and blocks of the city that was zoned R4. And to the best of my knowledge, from what I've seen, that was a redo of opportunity to try to redevelop some areas. And so we have a lot of land that is zoned R4 currently. That R4 zoning didn't really get the impact that they were looking to do when the board rezoned that property. So I think when I started looking at it, I think the redo of the R4 was the better avenue to do for the city as a whole. And that's the only reason I can explain.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Webb. Director Wyrick.
Thank you. Kathy and I are kind of thinking the same way. I brought up some questions last week when this was first introduced to us, and it seemed we've got some entrepreneurs in the city that are really wanting to make a difference in particular areas of the city. They've got a business model, a business plan where this works with what they already have going. I don't know that it's going to be spread across the whole city as far as the needs are, but some of their concerns is it takes 6 months to get approval to do this. It costs money to do it. If we've got entrepreneurs that are trying to make a difference in a particular part of the city, we ought to be working with them, number one. to shorten the time frame as best we can. But it doesn't make sense to me to change the whole world as to what our zoning is when we've got some specialty or niche markets where we want to do this. So I would like to see us try to come up with a separate zoning for this accessory dwelling type situation instead of changing everything from R4 and setting it up for that proposal. So Kathy's questions were right along the line that I was thinking. I don't want to stymie any development anywhere. I want the developers that are trying to do this to be successful. It just doesn't seem right to change everything in the city of Little Rock from R4 to this special kind of use. They're mingled in with single family. People may know that they got a R4 next to them, but they don't know all the ins and outs about it, or they may not even know it's R4. We've had some of that happen where we've had some units go in across the street from single family and very, very upset about it. So I just think we need to be careful with what our inherent zoning is. And if we can work through some of the processes to help people, that would be good, because time and money is pretty important when you're doing a development. But I would like to see us do a separate kind of zoning for this, as opposed to changing all of the city of Little Rock from R4 to this type of use.
Director Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. I had a chance to visit with Jamie. As a matter of fact, I'm the one who had Jamie send out the map because I wanted to see where the R zoning, the R4 zoning was prevalent. It's prevalent in Ward 1. And we have a lot of vacant property there that I believe this will help develop some of the property. We're not changing anything. R4, now you can have a duplex. Two families can live on this one lot. Still going to be two families can live on one lot. It's just detached dwellings. What I see we have is, we have perception and we have policy. There's a perception about everyone wants to have the American dream and buy a house. Everybody's not going to buy a house. Some people just want to rent. I'm renting now. I'll probably be renting for the foreseeable future. I think we need to have that option, certainly in Ward 1. There's some areas in my ward on East 17th Street where we have luxury furnished townhouses that are high end. That's going to appeal to a certain renter. We're talking about we want to create more areas that are affordable. This, to me, will help with that and making areas more affordable. Again, it is a situation where we can have more people living in the ward, more people that can afford to live in the ward when we have this type of development going on. We can't affect a lot of perception, but we can certainly deal with our policies. And I think that's what we're trying to deal with here. I have a whole lot of vacant land. I want to see the land develop. It's primarily, as you all saw in that map that was sent out, it's primarily in Ward 1. And so we want to do that. We want to try to get development. We see this as a way to help with development. We're not changing anything. This R4 designation has been there long before any of us have been on this board. And so I'm supportive. I'm strongly supportive for this. I'm going to vote for it.
Seeing no, Vice Mayor Webb.
Thank you, Mayor. And to reiterate, I appreciate the difference between the vacant property that we all want to see developed and support the entrepreneurs, and then the potential for tear downs, which is the potential that my neighborhoods are feeling exists, which would change the neighborhood, the tear downs and a replacement. So just the comment from Ward 3 neighborhoods.
All right, seeing no other questions. Director Webb, is your hand still up?
No.
Okay. Seeing no other questions from members of the board, Mr. Mike Orndorff, and then we'll just take the vote.
Good evening. Thank you all. I appreciate this opportunity to speak on this, and I welcome any questions on this topic. Again, I'm Mike Orndorff. I live in the Petaway neighborhood. We're almost entirely zoned R4. We've lived there for almost 10 years. Love the density. It's the environment we want to raise our two kids in, 2 years and 5 years old. I'm passing out a packet now to give you an example of what I'm constructing today. But a couple of notes that I want to share with you. So as you know, R4 zoning is the multifamily zoning. This means it is allowable by right to build a duplex. The proposed ordinance would also make it allowable to build a detached duplex, otherwise known as an ADU, accessory dwelling unit. There would still only be 2 dwellings per lot. The proposed ordinance does not change the density or negatively impact parking. ADUs by right in R4 is a recommendation by the Targeted Community Development Task Force. These are both affordable housing as well as a way for homeowners to build generational wealth. ADUs complement the neighborhood feel much better than your traditional duplex. Not to be confused with an ADU is an accessory structure unit. So what I just passed out to you, that's a picture of an accessory structure unit that I'm building right now. So you can build an accessory structure unit by right in R1, in R2, in R3, and in R4. You don't have to ask any of your neighbors' permission. You can go and you can pull a permit today and do that. You can also build an accessory dwelling unit by right today, but only in the R1 zoning. However, you can only use that accessory dwelling unit as servants' quarters. The way that accessory structure looks today, if you guys vote and pass this ordinance, is the same way that it's going to look tomorrow. An accessory structure doesn't change in appearance. What makes an accessory dwelling different than an accessory structure unit is the ability to prepare food. So it has more compatible uses for people in living situations. Accessory structure unit is just an extension of the home. You might use it for art. You can rent it out the same way that you can rent out a room in your home, but generally it's just an extended room of your home. But you can have a bathroom in an accessory structure unit. You can have a hot water heater in an accessory structure unit, et cetera. This is a good ordinance. This gives developers more options. You don't just have to build a duplex where both units have a common wall, have a shared roof. This gives us the flexibility to build what we would call a detached duplex. So you can maintain the neighborhood feel with the single family home that faces the street, while at the same time offering a more affordable, 1-bedroom apartment, which is sort of what we're trying to accomplish with what we're constructing right now, but it's in the back and it's served through the alley. Again, R4 zoning is a multifamily zoning. You can build a duplex by right. You don't have to ask for anybody's permission to build a duplex in R4 zoning. What we're proposing, what we're asking for, what I support in this ordinance is the right to be able to build a detached duplex, a single family home with an accessory dwelling unit behind it or above the garage, et cetera. But again, I welcome questions. Apologize for my nerves. I appreciate this very much.
Thank you so much. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would.
Roll call.
Excuse me?
Roll call vote, please.
Madam Clerk, a roll call.
Director Richardson,
Yes.
Director Peck,
Yes.
Director Hines,
Yes.
Director Lewis,
Yes.
Director Wyrick, Director Campuris, Director Phillips,
Yes.
Director Adcock,
No.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Webb,
Yes.
Mayor Scott, oh, no, just kidding. One,
I can't vote, this is a tie.
it's 8-2.
All right. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item 23.
22.
22.
An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. First reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on second reading.
Is there a motion and a second? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have a second reading.
An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. Second reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Third reading.
An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. Third and final reading.
We've had 3 readings. Seeing no question from members of the board. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item number 23.
An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. First reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on second reading.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have a second reading.
An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. Second reading.
Move to suspend rules and place on third and final reading.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Third reading.
An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. Third and final reading.
We've now had 3 readings. Director Adcock, do you have your hand up?
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Collins. Mr. Collins, I had asked you last week to check with this applicant on the use of this property. I believe that when they appeared before Southwest United for Progress, that they stated they was going to do auto and truck repair in this facility. There are 2 rows of new homes that this would kind of back up to, and I would hate to think that we're putting an auto repair shop, particularly of big trucks, right in front of a neighborhood.
Yes, the Director Adcock, we did reach out. They stated that they plan to use the property to build that 50 by 80 building, and I think that's what you talked about. And the store is 2 diesel trucks on there, and that he would only use it for the building personally, and there'd be no other diesel traffic coming from the property. However, that was not a condition of the rezoning. That was a statement at what he said that he planned to do at the podium. Staff did not recommend approval because we felt like more of a C1 use and neighborhood use was for the property.
Okay, so staff did not agree with this?
No, we did not. If you can bring up a zoning map, you can kind of see where the property is located and why we recommended. There is property that was zoned C3 around it, but typically C3, and you've heard me talk to the board before, we really want to put them on arterials and arterial intersections. You want to get in that more intense commercial use where we want like C4, more of display along the interstate. Those type of roads is perfect for C4. So we just felt like this one, even though other properties were C3 around it, commercial, we agree with commercial, but maybe it needs to be a lesser commercial that would support more of the residential that's around it.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item number 24.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development and to establish a revised plan development commercial titled Thomas Short Term Rental, PDC, located at 300 Springwood Drive, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. First reading.
We suspend the rules and place on second reading.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, second reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development and to establish a revised plan development commercial titled Thomas Short Term Rental, PDC, located at 300 Springwood Drive. Second reading.
We suspend rules and place on third and final.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, will say nay. Ayes have it, third reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development and to establish a revised plan development commercial titled Thomas Short Term Rental, PDC, located at 300 Springwood Drive. Third and final reading.
We've now had 3 readings. Any questions from members of the board? Any questions from members of the board? All those in favor? Sorry, I do apologize. We do have a card. Ms. Diana Thomas.
Yes, I'm the applicant.
Yes.
So I just wanted to comment, the application was already unanimously passed by the Planning Commission. And I just wanted to see if any of the city directors and said mayor has any questions for me, but just wanted to reiterate that where I'm proposing to have this short-term rental is right on the edge of the neighborhood, right over the trees behind the Trader Joe's that's right next to already there's Embassy Suite and some other considered short-term rentals there. I'm right like a block away from the 630 Big Rock Exchange. So just to reiterate as well that I am a licensed real estate broker, so this will be professionally managed and cared for. I'll be residing as well in the Point of Brody Creek right on Bowman, which is a half mile away from this property. Again, it's on the corner of Birchwood and Springwood. There's a packet that I believe has been passed out that shows, I know in the past when these types of applications have been approved by both the Planning Commission and the City Board, it was concerns with the neighbors. I have spoken to the neighbors. I have spoken to Joanne, who is our Neighborhood Association president as well. I have no opposition here tonight. I had no opposition at the Planning Commission meeting. In addition to parking was an issue when these types of applications came before the city. And I have 5 spaces on site on the property, not the street, but on the property. In addition, my property is kind of unique. It sits on the corner and it sits approximately at 40 feet from the street. So it does sit far back, and part of my lease agreement will be, there will be no parties, no special events as well. So if anyone has any questions for me before you vote, I'd be glad to address them. Any concerns?
Seeing none, thank you so much for,
I'm trying to raise my hand.
Director Pat.
Thank you. And thank you for coming, and thank you for the packet. I represent Ward 4. I did get a couple of calls from the neighborhood that were concerned about possibility of cars. I'm sorry, not cars, parties. I actually drove by and I see that you have plenty of parking on site. I feel better after your explanation and looking at this package. I was prepared to vote no, but I did want you to know, and I know Joanne well, did not speak to her about it, but I did have 3 people from Birchwood call to ask me to vote.
Yeah, and I did reach out to the neighbors, and I did send all of the required notifications out by certified mail with my contact information and a copy of the application of what I was proposing. But I did welcome any kind of communication back. I did receive 3 calls asking me, what is this letter? But did explain to them, and I actually took the initiative to knock on a few doors because I own kind of like the entire corner all the way around. So it's a very large lot, as you saw when you drove by. So I also have natural buffers going up Springwood, as you see as well, that we spent quite a bit of money to implement to also have a barrier sort of similar to around the modern storage, the Keith Richardson development that's behind me. So I don't have an immediate neighbor to the northeast, south, and west, actually.
I drove around and I agree, and I appreciate you being here and being so professional and, about this, so I will vote in support.
Thank you.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Madam, we have item 25, Madam, is there a motion to go into executive session to discuss boards and commission appointments?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. We'll enter into a recess. Good evening, as we return back from our executive session to report on boards and commission appointments. Age-friendly Little Rock Commission, Blake Tierney. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Parks and Recreation Commission, Summer Campbell. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Little Rock Water Reclamation Commission, Shawnee Hightower and Prentice O'Gwen. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Little Rock Zoo Board of Governors, Christy Garrett. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. MacArthur Military History Museum Commission, Patricia Jo Keegan. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Oakland Fraternal Historic Cemetery Board, Steve Fike. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Rock Region Metropolitan Transit Authority Board of Directors, Adrian Collins. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Little Rock Port Authority, Clay McGeorge. All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. That concludes our boards and commissions appointments. Just kind of set the order. I know Director Hines is going to give some comments and make some other comments, and then we're going to leave room, as we said, for the sales tax discussion. I do know we've had our initial public meeting in Ward 4. Thank you, Director Peck, for your leadership in Ward 4. We'll be at Ward 1 tomorrow. With the leadership of City Director Virgil Miller. So we'll go with Director Hines, which is on a separate matter, and then we'll go to sales tax discussion, if any. Director Hines?
Mayor, and I'll kind of jump off where Director Miller began, the fatality we had over at the Robinson Elementary School. I would ask that our Public Works Director interface with our RDOT contacts to get permission. And also we need to interface with the county because the elementary school still sits in the county. It was never annexed in to the city when we annexed the middle school and the high school campus because of a state statute that Tom is going to research that I believe was changed. And if that is so, then we can hopefully clear up some of the jurisdictional issues we're having that was one of the kind of root causes of this issue. You've got the middle school and high school campus in the city limits, and then on the north side of Highway 10, Cantrell, it's not. So getting out there, working traffic, doing speeding tickets is problematic when we've got cross-jurisdictional, really only the state police and the county can really effectively work traffic. If we can get that cleared up, we should do it. But I think the first thing we need to do is get the flashing school crossing signs and get that school zone marked. And then we need some pretty relentless enforcement, as I've heard over the summer before school is in session. The speeding coming in and going out of the city limits right there is pretty atrocious. And so I think we need to get LRPD, Pulaski County, and the Arkansas State Police all working that area. The accident was caused by somebody feeling that their time was more valuable than somebody's life. It's pretty appalling. Traffic was backed up because of school, and this individual evidently decided to drive 45 or 50 miles an hour down the center turn lane, and that's when he struck the security guard and ended his life. So police folks, be patient. Back to school is only temporary. An accident like this changes multiple lives forever. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director Hines. Director Phillips?
This is related to the sales tax discussion. You want to lead off, Mayor? I'm happy to wait.
Sure thing. First and foremost, I think all the members of the city board are aware of the public meetings that have commenced. And so, thank you for each one set aside time for this. We'll continue to have these meetings as we explore the sales tax, a potential sales tax in November of this year. Many of the city board members have the proposed spreadsheet, and we'll continue to move forward in this listening session to the community on what we should do and how we should do it and when we should do it. So before getting started there, I do have a few things that I'll make some kind of announcements on, but want to get started with Director Phillips and Director Computers. Is Director Hines, is your hand still up as well? Okay. And thank you for your leadership there in Ward 5, Director Hines.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Two things, and depending on what my colleagues say, I may have to raise my hand again, but very pointed questions. One, I think last week we discussed maybe having some special meeting the last week of August. Has that been resolved on what day that meeting is going to occur?
Yes, if there's a vote, if and when there's a vote to be taken to do it in November, it would have to be on September 1st.
Which is Friday? Is that correct?
Yes.
Do we have a time yet or no? We hadn't got that far?
We'll query the board members and see what's the best time, whether that's noon. And I do think we still have certain laws in place, City Attorney, that it could be a situation where we could do it via Zoom. I think I just have to be present in person.
Okay.
But we'll figure out that time.
Perfect. And today, during one of the downtown density meetings, there was a question asked on whether, obviously we have allocated funds for a downtown master plan. And the question was asked of me, is the allocation for downtown Little Rock development, will that be tied to hopefully implementing some of the things from the master plan? And I told him I hope so, but I hope I can get a confirmation.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Director.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Director Computers.
Last night at Cappy's meeting, Chief Hilton did a great job of explaining what was going on and said something that brought something to mind that the three of us will remember probably. And that is that one of the problems we're having right now is the Pulaski County Jail. And this is not casting any aspersions on the sheriff or anything else. He has low manpower. And so I spent some time today trying to find out about the jail and what's going on. And they do have a manpower shortage, which means that when we take someone over there, they're booked and they're out in a minute or two. And Bruce, remember when this happened before, we took them to, was it Prairie County? What county did we take them to? What?
Oh, Conway.
Conway. I would appreciate it. I mean, Chief Hilton smiled, breezed over it. But basically, if that's a problem and we have some surplus money, and it looks like we do, I'd like you and the chief and the mayor to look in to see if we can't start taking people there where the people that need to stay have a place to stay, rather than the people that we need to have put someplace and confined until they can go through the judicial process. We just don't book them, give them a citation to come show up someplace. And this is just me remembering what we did before, because we had this same problem before. And we're not going to get any better if we're picking up people, they walk into the jail, and then they beat our policemen back over to wherever they're going to be. So I'd appreciate it if y'all would look into that. I think that as a short-term remedy, that might help the sheriff, and it certainly would help us. And I think it would do great for the morale of our police department.
Thank you so much, Director Computers. Director
I think we did have two places, but I can't remember.
So would you all like just a very brief recap of the meeting? Or are you all interested in what Ward 4 said or not? I'm fine. Either way.
I think what we could do, Director Peck, is, because we're going to have each meeting is going to be a bit different. And so,
Volunteering.
well, and definitely thank you. And again, I want to share our appreciation to you for your leadership and with the ward. I understand you had a very good attendance, and that's a lot due to you getting the word out. And so we want to make sure you know we appreciate you.
And I want to commend Bruce. He did, I know you were not able to be there because of a speaking engagement, but Bruce did a great job with some heated questions from time to time. But I think we learned a lot. And so that was really what I was going to address, but I think you're already addressing that about some of the things on the website, et cetera.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moore. Do appreciate you. All right, Director Wyrick.
Thank you, Mayor. I was not able to attend last night. There was a county meeting talking about the new homeless village out on Chico Road, and I wanted to see what the updates on that. I was torn between Cappy's ward or going to see that, so I went to the county presentation. You talked about a spreadsheet, and the only thing I have, and I wouldn't call it a spreadsheet, maybe you do, it was given to us on July 26th. That's the date on it. Has there been a new document that's been given out since July 26th? Are we still looking at the same list of items, same amounts?
Yes, ma'am, at this time.
Okay. So we don't have any other details other than that presentation that you gave that Thursday in the special meeting?
Yes, that's, as I shared, I was going to give some new information today. But you have the most updated information.
Okay. Well, you said something about the spreadsheet, so I'm thinking maybe there was something I missed because I didn't go to the meeting. So, okay, go ahead then. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Again, if you all will recall, City Director Compuris asked in the spreadsheet that we gave out on July 26th that we kind of notate ongoing and things that are kind of ongoing, things that are kind of new, and kind of separate that out from that standpoint. And so we've prepared a document for that. This document is dated August the 15th. And so it's hot off the press, and it has that kind of stylistic change that Director Compuris requested, which I think was very prudent to kind of help people kind of put eyes on things as well. So thank you, Director Compuris. There's one slight change or two changes when you get this document. One slight change, the city team and I and some other conversations and kind of doing some listening as we look at certain things in one of the columns, one being one of the 4 Ps, one being parks. We are going to transition dollars that are in the proposed Jim Daly indoor pool, transition those out and disperse those dollars into, and I'm going to pass this out to you, just verbally saying to you, transition that amount of money, which is around $5.5 million, 3.5 million of that, I'm getting ready to pass it out, so I'm just talking through it right now. 3.5 million of that's going to go towards towards more money towards public safety, technology, and fleet, and then the other 2 million is going to go towards public infrastructure. So I'm going to pass that out here.
You want to ask her to pass them out? He didn't want you to get your steps in, Ashley.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We need one more.
We need a magnifying glass?
Mayor, just one quick question. I know I've been unusually silent tonight. These changes that you referenced before you pass this out, who made those decisions on those respective changes that you just talked about while you're getting this for us?
Ultimately, I would say ultimately I made the decision to change the proposed document. As you know, ultimately the city board has to make the decision to vote on it. But did do some listening. And there's also some opportunity to work with UA Little Rock and try to create a better partnership there. And so just an effort to be kind of creative with a partner there. And again, we have not spoken to UA Little Rock, but we know there's a potential opportunity there. And just to take those funds and reinvest it into public safety and public works.
Well, that's just a simple question I wanted. Thanks for answering that, because I thought I heard you reference Bruce's name in that conversation on making those changes. So I just wanted to know that for certain.
Yes. And so, just board members again, Director Wyrick.
Yes, sir.
Just so everyone's following along. Same document as July 26th. The difference is we rearranged the 4 Ps area. And this is just more of a communication style than anything. But as far as the substantive change, if you look at the July 26th document, there was a Jim Daly indoor pool for $5.5 million. You look on this document, it's no longer there. Again, everyone, this is not on the website. We'll get this uploaded to the website. That's no longer there. We took that $5.5 million and we put $3 million into, let me find it myself. We added that into that $3 million into the public safety technology operations portion. And then, or 3.5 million rather. And then, because if you remember, I believe it was on the July 26th document on line 3. Let me see if I have it with me. Previously on line 3, was not line 3, but that number was 10 million. It went up to 3.5 million. And so then the 2 million, we just added that into the infrastructure portion, because originally on line 24, it was 70 million, now it's 72. So that's the only substantive change. So there's more money for public infrastructure, more money for public safety. And I think one of the things that, and I know I wasn't able to be at the meeting yesterday, I think part of this discussion, at least from the board standpoint, I think some clarity needs to be stated. I think one, from a public safety standpoint, this city board has done a phenomenal job in investing in our police department. I think we all know that public safety, which includes our LRPD and Little Rock Fire Department, as well as 911, makes up roughly 52 to 53% of our $315 million budget. So we spend a lot in public safety, and there's always a need to spend more. And so one of the things that we'll share with the community, I think we always, in that kind of setting, we may not be sharing what we already are spending, and we'll continue to do that through our general revenue fund as needed when we have to go through our union negotiations and things of that nature. So that's in that pot. I talk about it as like 2 purses. So we got the general revenue purse, and we're trying to get a second purse to put more dollars in that for more investments. And so this sales tax proposal purse is the new purse with new money that will be in addition to our day-to-day purse of general revenue funds. That being said, since we spend close to 53% of our general revenue funds on public safety, this will be in addition to that, this public safety number over 10 years, which will be, if my number's correct, is basically 68 million, but basically $70 million. So on top of that, that's how much we'll be spending on public safety if this sales tax was to pass. So that's there on the just kind of the substantive change that everyone is seeing there. I just want to make certain that you know that this is something I'm going to share in Ward 1, Director Miller. Director Peck, we'll get this to you. I know you have a listserv of folks. I want to make certain that you get this, and we'll get that to you so you can email to your people, our people, but I know that you have a group of folks who send things too. So that's on that standpoint. So when you go to the Parks and Quality of Life section, everything's the same minus the Jim Daly Center. The public infrastructure, you see that number on line 24 on the previous document was 70 million, now it's 72, which makes up 77. Then we have the port, information technology, downtown investments. Director Wyrick, I want to notate that you wanted us to change neighborhood programs. That was neighborhood programs on July 26th. We just changed that to downtown investments. You asked for that change.
It looks more appropriate.
Looks more appropriate.
Yeah.
Thank you for that feedback.
I know you said
and so
if I
again,
vote for it, you'd change it to anything, but I didn't really know what to call that at the time you said that. So thank you for doing that.
no, thank you. I want to make sure again, these changes were as a request of both Director Compuris and Director Wyrick, and of course I shared just doing some listening, some potential strategic partnerships that we could have with the Jim Daly Center and the need to just put some more funding into public infrastructure and public safety. All right, Director Wyrick, your hand's still up.
It might be. The only thing that I wanted to tell you is I appreciate the additional $2 million into infrastructure improvements, but in Ward 7, I need 29 million plus. So I just want to keep that out there that we have. That's just me.
Yes, ma'am.
Not the other areas that have needs as well. So that is important to the life of Southwest Little Rock, or actually Ward 7, which is more than Southwest now. So I want to keep that out there. And I'm continuing to look through the 311 list that I have that are still outstanding. And I hope by the time I get to my meeting on Monday of next week, that I'll have that analyzed so I can talk about it more intelligently. But it appears to me we need more people, more vehicles, more equipment for public works and for code enforcement based on the reports that I see from 311.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Director Peck, is your hand still up?
Yes. I think it's kind of ironic, and believe me, I was at my meeting, I heard what people want, and public safety was number one. But I think it's interesting, Jim Daly is such an important center, and I wanted to let you all know at the last Parks Commission meeting just this past Wednesday, there was a group of people that love and adore Jim Daly. And we all know there have been some struggles there with the pool, with some of the facilities, and it's just the whole supply chain problem. And they wanted some assurance that these things would be addressed, but the comments they made were very heartwarming. They thought, where can you go in the city and see such a diverse group of people, all ages, from all different neighborhoods, all races, colors, creeds, religions, and it was just very, very interesting, the timing. So I just hope that Parks doesn't keep getting cut, because it seems like when we get in trouble, Parks is the first to get cut. But I think we are being responsive, especially, from my perspective in my meeting, that we need more in public safety. But I don't want us to forget about Jim Daly, because there was a crowd of people showing it some love and wanting more, but not necessarily an Olympic-sized pool.
We will not, and I know Mr. Moore and Director Couch are working hard to get things back up and going and dealing with some of that supply chain issue. But again, in this, we're still keeping a lot of funds in the maintenance for parks, in which Jim Daly is part of, so you have that assurance.
And I also want to thank the at-large directors. All three of them came to the Ward 4 meeting, so I really appreciate y'all being there. Dean and Joan and Antoine, thank you.
That's great. Vice Mayor Webb?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Somebody asked if this could be if we had a slide of this and it could be posted so they could see it right now as we were discussing it, and I don't know if we do or not.
Probably not, but if you got their email, I can get you the email. We can get it to you.
Okay.
Unfortunately, but we'll get that situated.
And I would like to ask Director Peck one question, if that's okay. I read the article this morning about the meeting last night, and would you say it fairly reflected what happened at the meeting? I mean, I know the mayor said that the meetings would probably all be different, but do you think it captured it?
No. It was an hour and a half long. Maybe a view from 30,000 feet. But it was a lot of public safety, and I know you want me to go into all the details. I'm happy to talk to anybody afterward about it, and I have shared with some of my colleagues some of the concerns. Public safety was number one. The speed of doing this and doing it so quickly, that concerned a lot of people. And then there were some big questions about infrastructure, basic needs that they feel like the city's not addressing, and then many discussions about the location of the indoor sports facility, not the fact that we would love to have one and should have one, but just the specifics about War Memorial. And I'm happy to share more with you one-on-one.
Thank you, Director.
Thanks.
Director Phillips.
Thank you, Mayor. I got a few things. I guess I'll start here. As it relates to the downtown Little Rock development, in response to your answer to my last question, could we, and I'm okay with the 7 million number, but I suspect that in our master plan, there are going to be some capital projects that may come out of that. So can we allocate some of this 7 million for capital instead of all for operating expenses? That's something that can be considered. You don't have to commit yes or no today, but.
No, I don't have a problem with committing. I think that's more going to be of a city attorney question. But let's get back to you that we want to do whatever possible to make things work for downtown, and we'll do that.
Okay.
No need, and we'll study. I hasten to say yes in totality. It may be a situation, again, as we talk about different purses, that we may use money from this purse knowing because this stuff is there, so.
Understood, but if we look into it, I would appreciate that. Secondly, I think I heard you say that this would be on the website at some point. I would suggest that we add some disclaimer at the top or the bottom of this to remind our citizens that this is a draft that's subject to city board approval, some along that lines, because I had some people reach out to me today asking questions about different allocations that some were very excited about them, some have questions about them. And I have to remind them that this is a process and this is not the final. It may be the final, but we don't know if it's final yet. So I would suggest that we have some type of disclaimer at the bottom for people who may see this on those cities' website.
Sure, we'll get that added.
Third, and I think I know the answer to this, but for clarity for the public, and I think this is what you were kind of getting at earlier, but I want to be absolutely clear. The funds from the sales tax will be in addition to our current budget and operating expenses, correct?
Correct, but also let me make sure for the public, I know, and also for the benefit of the city board, which you do know, but just for everyone's benefit, if this was to pass, during this time period, we now would have 3 purses. First purse is our general fund. Second purse would be the renewed Little Rock bonds that were recently passed in September. And then this will be a third purse. And so that will be all the money going towards various items at one time. Very similar, if you guys will remember, in 2011, from Mr. Moore, from 2011 to 2021, there were 3 purses. You had your general fund, which we always operate from. You had the infrastructure bonds, and then you also had the 3/8 cent sales tax. Correct, Mr. Moore? Correct, Mr. Moore? So those were 3 purses. And so there was a lot of activity going on in the city because of those 3 purses. And so we're trying to get to more activity so we can do more nuts and bolts and address ticket takers and things of that nature. I'm learning your talking points, Director Wyrick.
I like them because I understand what you're saying.
2 more questions, and then I'll be quiet for the time being. 4, I guess at that July 26th meeting that Director Wyrick mentioned, I think you said that there was consensus, and this came up during the Ward 4 meeting last night. One of the constituents asked about it. The sunset provision related to this, I know that's not really listed on here, but are we moving forward without a sunset now?
This is still, again, this is still predicated on having a sunset, but I have visited with many of the board members that are, strongly considering voting for it. And I don't think it really matters to many of the board members on the sunset that I've heard from. Again, that could change when it comes time to vote, but right now, it's still a sunset. But with the understanding, based on what I'm hearing from each of you all, that a board member who will remain anonymous, shared that, public safety isn't temporary. And so if we have an opportunity to get more dollars for public safety, why are we sunsetting that? That can be some extra dollars for that. Same thing with parks, same thing with public infrastructure, and things of that nature. So again, I'm a firm believer. I think, if it was to the ballot, that's not going to be the determining factor if it fails, if it's a sunset or not.
Okay, and I just want to be clear, if I wasn't before, that I would support it, the removing of the sunset, to make sure that we're looking forward to what the city needs going in the future. And the last thing, I'll just share this with my colleagues. I was approached by someone today who was asking questions about the sales tax. And they asked me a question, and I told them that I would share it with the board. And their question to me was, what kind of city do we want to be? And she said, I know that's very introspective, but when I think about a sales tax and an investment in a city, I think about what type of city do we want Little Rock to be? And I have my own thoughts about that, and I won't pontificate, but I did tell that person that I would share with my colleagues. And as we consider the sales tax going forward and what the city of Little Rock looks like going forward, I told that person that I would share that we all should think about what type of city we want Little Rock to be and how this sales tax can help us get to that point. So that's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Sure. There are a few things, again. I'm a big proponent of not being here more than 2 hours, so we're going to wrap this up. I do want to just share a couple things just for the benefit of the board as we get ready to go to these other meetings. I know a question that some board members are getting, some are not, is, why is the indoor-outdoor sports complex the proposed area of War Memorial? The reason why is that Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau did a study in 21. They're in the midst of completely finalizing another study. All things are sharing based on the research and the data that War Memorial is the most ideal location based on from a resident standpoint, a tourism standpoint, and a youth sports standpoint. It's not because any particular person, and then 2, it's also because you get a better benefit because we own the land as well. But primarily and most importantly is because the research says that's where it's supposed to be. However, again, this is a proposed plan. There's definitely always looking for other opportunities, but that's what we've seen so far. And so that's what will be shared at these other board meetings. That's the reason why. So it's not just because, Little Rock Parks and Rec Commission or Little Rock Parks and Rec staff said, hey, this is where it needs to be because we wanted to be here. It's because there was data, and that's the reason why we have a Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau who markets our city from a tourism standpoint, and as Director Phillips would say, an intra-tourism standpoint for our intra-tour within our state. And so those are the reasons why. But again, we remain open for some other areas if it makes sense based on the data and the research. And that's the reason where it is at this point in time. So I just wanted to make certain that was clear. And then secondly, we also want to share that all of these are projections that we've done with the best information that we have at this time. Clearly, as we saw with the renewed Little Rock bonds, we got projections. Things change as it relates to construction market. You know, we're going to build a new district court. That cost may change, as we know. Things change as it relates to that, and so we just want to be clear from that standpoint. This is the best guesstimate we can get to at this time, short of knowing that the money is there. That being said, we have our meetings, and we'll be with Director Miller tomorrow. And then finally, want to share on a very good note, our city and our region, particularly Little Rock and Central Arkansas region, was recently recognized as a top 10 city for young professionals to live. Which is exciting news by Forbes magazine, which we know is a national business magazine. It's exciting for our city to be recognized as a top 10 city and region from that standpoint. That's a credit to this board and our team members that we're getting to that point with that type of national attention. We're very excited about that. And so we want to just share our appreciation to the members of the city board for all the work that you do to ensure that we have a good quality of life in place, initiatives to have that recognition alongside all of our economic development partners with the Little Rock Regional Chamber of Commerce and both of our school districts and all of our schools within the city of Little Rock. So very excited, very big day. We should all take pride in being number 10 in the top 10. I don't know about you, now that we got the top 10, we want to be number 1. So that's more work, and so ample time to have an initiative like this focused on quality of life in place to invest in our city. As Director Phillips said, what do we want our city to be? Mr. Moore?
Mayor, 2 things. Any issues with the memo regarding the under $50,000 that have sent out so we can move forward with that? And the board of directors, because we have 5 Tuesdays this month, will not be in session next Tuesday.
And board members, we'll get this spreadsheet on the website. We'll try to get that tonight. We'll get that done tonight. We will get it done tonight, not try. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Motion second. All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.